Vietnamese New Year. Supposed to be a ceasefire. A time of celebration. Peace. Family. January 30th, 1968. The night everything changed. The night we learned that nothing we'd been told about this war was true. Sergeant Marcus Webb. I was 23 years old, infantry, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. I'd been in Vietnam for 7 months. 7 months of patrols and ambushes and watching friends get torn apart by booby traps. 7 months of fighting an enemy we couldn't see in a war we didn't understand. I grew up in Detroit, inner city, rough neighborhood. My father worked the line at Ford. Long hours, hard work, honest money. My mother cleaned houses, 3 kids, not much money, but lots of love. We got by. I graduated high school in 1964. Had a choice, college or work. Couldn't afford college. Got a job at a garage, fixing cars. Good work. But the draft was breathing down everyone's neck. Vietnam was heating up. Better to enlist than get drafted. At least that way you had some choice in your assignment. So I joined the Marines in 1966, 19 years old. Thought I was tough. Thought growing up in Detroit had prepared me for anything. Boot camp at Parris Island showed me different. They broke us down, built us back up, made us Marines, made us killers. Infantry training, weapons, tactics, how to patrol, how to set ambushes, how to survive in the jungle. They taught us everything except the truth, that we were being sent to fight a war no one wanted to win. A war with no clear objective, no clear enemy, no clear purpose. I shipped out to Vietnam in June 1967, landed at Da Nang, hot, humid, smelled like diesel and rot and something else I couldn't identify. Later learned it was death. You can smell it, sweet and sour at the same time. Once you know it, you never forget it. They assigned me to a rifle platoon, grunts, the guys who did the actual fighting, the walking, the dying. We operated around Hugh City, patrolling, searching for VC, finding booby traps instead, punji stakes, toe poppers, bouncing betties. The enemy was everywhere and nowhere. My squad leader was Corporal James Washington, from Alabama, black guy, same as me. We bonded over that. 2 black men fighting a white man's war in a country that didn't want us there. But Washington was good, kept us alive, taught us the tricks, how to spot tripwires, how to read the jungle, how to stay alert without going crazy. There was Rodriguez from Texas, always smiling, always joking, even when things were bad, and Miller from Ohio. Quiet kid, carried a picture of his girl, talked about her constantly, and Jenkins from New York, street smart, quick, good in a fight. We became brothers, had to. You trusted these guys with your life every single day, ate together, slept together, fought together, bled together. Closer than family because family didn't understand what we were going through. By January 1968, we were tired. 7 months of constant operations, no real victories, no progress, just endless patrols in the jungle, endless nights listening for movement, endless fear that the next step would trigger a mine, that the next tree line would erupt with AK-47 fire. The brass kept saying we were winning. Body counts, kill ratios, statistics that meant nothing to us. We didn't feel like we were winning, felt like we were bleeding, dying, accomplishing nothing. But they said the enemy was weak, said we'd broken their back, said the war would be over soon. Light at the end of the tunnel, all that political bullshit they fed the folks back home. We didn't believe it. We'd been fighting long enough to know better. The VC and NVA weren't beaten. They were everywhere, in the villages, in the jungle, watching us, waiting, planning. Late January, they pulled us back to Hugh City. Supposed to be a break, rest and refit, celebrate Tet, the holiday ceasefire. Even war stops for Tet, they said. Traditional, respected by both sides. We were glad, tired, needed rest, needed sleep without one eye open. The city felt safe. Secure ARVN troops everywhere. American MPS, rear echelon guys. It was supposed to be safe. January 30th, Tet Eve. We were in our barracks, playing cards, writing letters. Rodriguez was trying to get a poker game going. Miller was reading his girl's latest letter for the 100th time. Jenkins was cleaning his rifle. Again. Washington was just sitting, smoking, staring at nothing. "You okay, Corp?" I asked. He looked at me. "Something feels wrong. Too quiet. Veal's too quiet. It's Tet. Everyone's celebrating. Maybe," he took a drag, "or maybe they're all gone. Ask yourself why." I didn't have an answer. Didn't think about it too hard. Just wanted to sleep. Just wanted one night without fear. Around 2 a.m., I woke to explosions. Thought I was dreaming. Then the building shook. More explosions. Closer and gunfire. Lots of gunfire. AK-47s, RPGs, mortars. We were under attack. In the city, in our supposedly safe rear area. Under attack. Washington was already up. Already geared up. "Get your shit. Get your weapons. We're in contact." We scrambled, grabbed rifles, ammo, gear, ran outside. The city was burning. Tracers everywhere. Red and green. Theirs and ours. Explosions lighting up the night sky. Chaos. Pure chaos. The Tet offensive had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. The NVA and VC had infiltrated the entire city, thousands of them, dressed as civilians, hidden in safe houses, waiting for the signal. When Tet began, they attacked, everywhere at once, coordinated, massive, overwhelming. We took cover behind a wall, trying to figure out what was happening, trying to understand. Enemy soldiers were running through the streets, not guerrillas. Regular NVA troops, uniforms, AK-47s, RPGs, a full assault. "How the hell did they get in?" Rodriguez was shouting over the gunfire. "Doesn't matter," Washington yelled back. "We're in the shit now. Stay together. Watch your sectors." Tracers zipped past, impacted the wall, concrete chips flying. An RPG hit a building across the street. Massive explosion. The whole front collapsed. Dust and debris everywhere. We returned fire, aimed at muzzle flashes, at shadows, at anything that moved. Hard to tell who was who. Civilians running, enemy soldiers mixed in. Our RVN troops trying to organize. American MPs in their pressed uniforms suddenly in combat they weren't trained for. A Marine lieutenant found us. Young guy, maybe 22, fresh-faced, terrified. "You men, with me. We need to secure the MACV compound. MACV, Military Assistance Command, the headquarters. If they took that, they'd control the city. We moved out. Squad column, building to building, street fighting, urban combat. None of our jungle training prepared us for this. Enemy fire from windows, from rooftops, from alleyways. We moved, fired, moved again. Jenkins took point. Miller covered rear. Rodriguez and I in the middle with Washington calling the movements. A burst of AK fire from a second-story window. Jenkins went down. Just dropped. We dragged him into cover. He was hit bad. Chest, bubbling. Sucking chest wound. Miller tried to patch it, pushing gauze into the hole. But there was so much blood. "Stay with me, man," Miller was shouting. "Corpsman. We need a corpsman." But there were no corpsmen. Not here, not now. Everyone was scattered. Everyone was fighting their own battle. Jenkins looked at us, tried to speak. Coughing blood. His eyes went distant, fixed. He was gone. Just like that. First man in our squad to die. Won't be the last. "Move!" Washington grabbed us. "We can't stay here. Move!" We left Jenkins. Had to. No choice. Left him lying in the street while we fought our way forward. Felt wrong. Felt like betrayal. But staying meant dying. And dead men can't help anyone. The fighting was insane. Close quarters, brutal. We cleared buildings room by room, kicked in doors, threw grenades, sprayed and prayed. Sometimes found enemy soldiers. Sometimes found terrified civilians. Sometimes found bodies, couldn't tell who they were or how they'd died. An NVA soldier came around a corner, 10 feet away. He was as surprised as I was. We both raised our weapons. I was faster, shot him, 3 rounds, center mass. He fell backward, dead before he hit the ground. First man I'd killed up close. First time I saw their face. Young, maybe my age, eyes wide, surprised, gone. I stood there staring. Washington pulled me away. "Don't think about it. Keep moving." But I couldn't not think about it. His face, his expression, the way he'd fallen, it burned into my brain, would be there forever. We fought through the morning, hours of combat, constant relentless, no breaks, no let-up. The enemy was everywhere. They owned the city. We were just trying to survive. By noon, we'd linked up with other Marines, formed a defensive perimeter around the MACV compound, held it against repeated attacks, enemy soldiers charging, waves of them. We mowed them down. They kept coming. Bodies piling up in the streets, ours and theirs. The smell was overwhelming. Cordite, blood, burning, death, all mixed together in the tropical heat. Rodriguez took a round through his shoulder. Sniper. He went down screaming. We pulled him back, patched him up. He was lucky. Through and through. No bone. He'd live, but he was out of the fight. "I'm sorry, guys," he was saying, tears streaming. "I'm sorry." "Nothing to be sorry for," Washington told him. "You did good. Now get to the rear. Get patched up proper." They evacuated him. Medevac helicopter brave enough to land in the middle of the fight. Rodriguez and a dozen other wounded. Gone. Our squad was down to 4 now. Me, Washington, Miller, and 2 replacements whose names I didn't even know. The fighting continued into the afternoon. The enemy had taken most of the city, the citadel, the old imperial fortress, flying their flag from the walls. A huge propaganda victory. Proof that nowhere was safe, that we weren't winning, that everything we'd been told was a lie. Night fell. The shooting didn't stop. Tracers crisscrossing in the darkness. Explosions, screams, the city burning, hell on earth, and we were in the middle of it. Miller was next to me, firing, reloading, firing again, machine-like, mechanical. His face was blank, empty, in shock probably. We all were. "How long?" he asked. "How long we gotta hold?" "Until relief comes," Washington said, "however long that takes." "And if it doesn't come?" Washington didn't answer, didn't need to. We all knew, if relief didn't come, we'd die here. In the streets of Hue, fighting for a city in a war we didn't understand. That first day of Tet, we lost Jenkins, lost Rodriguez, lost any illusions we had left, lost the belief that we were safe anywhere, that there were rear areas, that there were breaks from the war. The war was everywhere, was everything, had swallowed the whole country whole, and we were trapped in its belly. The battle for Hue lasted 26 days, 26 days of street fighting, urban warfare, the worst kind of combat, every building a fortress, every street a killing ground, every corner a potential ambush. We fought block by block, house by house, room by room, clearing the city inch by bloody inch. The NVA and VC had dug in, fortified positions, bunkers, fighting positions. They weren't running. They were defending, fighting to the death. Day 3. We were ordered to assault a building the enemy was using as a strong point. 3-story structure, concrete, good fields of fire. They'd been hitting our positions from there for hours. Washington gathered what was left of the squad. Me, Miller, and 4 replacements. 7 men total to take a building held by God knows how many enemy soldiers. We go in hard, Washington said. Grenades first. Then we clear each floor. Watch for booby traps. Watch your crossfire. Don't shoot each other. We moved up under covering fire from other Marines, staying low, using rubble for cover. The city was destroyed. Looked like World War II footage. Berlin, Stalingrad, complete devastation. We reached the building, stacked up by the door. Washington pulled the pin on a grenade, nodded, kicked the door open, threw it in. We ducked. The explosion shook the walls. We went in. Smoke, dust. Couldn't see, couldn't breathe, just moved on training, on instinct. Found an NVA soldier in the first room. He was wounded from the grenade, trying to reach his rifle. Miller shot him, 2 rounds. He stopped moving. We cleared the first floor. 3 more enemy killed in action. One of our replacements took a burst of AK fire, fell backward, dead, didn't even get his name. Second floor, more resistance. They were waiting, had positions set up. We threw grenades, rushed in firing, close quarters. Brutal, no mercy on either side. Kill or die, simple math. I shot a man in a doorway. He fell. Another appeared. I shot him too, then another. They kept coming. We kept shooting. The hallway filled with bodies, blood on the walls, on the floor, on us. One of the replacements panicked, froze. An enemy soldier shot him. Washington killed the enemy soldier. But our guy was down, gut shot, screaming, writhing. We couldn't help him, had to keep moving, had to finish clearing the building. His screams followed us up the stairs. 3rd floor, the last enemy soldiers, cornered, no escape. They fought like demons, fanatical, fearless. We killed them, but it cost us. Miller took shrapnel from a grenade, face and chest. He was still conscious, still fighting, but he was messed up bad. We secured the building. 7 of us went in, 3 came out. Me, Washington, and Miller. Miller needed immediate evacuation. We carried him down, through the bodies, through the blood, out into the street where corpsmen were waiting. They took him, loaded him on a stretcher. He grabbed my hand. His face was shredded, one eye gone, but he was trying to smile. "Tell my girl," he whispered. "Tell her I loved her." Then they took him away. I never saw him again. Later heard he survived. Lost the eye, scarred for life, but alive. More than most could say. That was just one building, one assault, one day out of 26. We did that over and over, building after building, street after street. The casualties mounted. Our company started with 180 men. By the end, we were down to maybe 40 effective. The enemy losses were worse, much worse. We killed thousands, stacked their bodies in the streets. The smell was unbearable, rotting flesh and tropical heat. We wore bandanas over our faces, rubbed toothpaste under our noses. Nothing helped. The smell got into everything, into your clothes, your skin, your lungs. The civilians suffered most, caught between us and the enemy, used as human shields, executed by the VC if they were suspected of helping us, killed by our artillery if they were in the wrong place. Thousands died. Thousands more fled. The ones who stayed huddled in ruins, starving, terrified, traumatized. I saw things I'll never forget. A family hiding in a basement, father, mother, 3 kids, dead, executed, hands bound, shot in the back of the head. The VC did that, killing collaborators, they called it, just people trying to survive. I saw an old woman wandering the streets. Shell-shocked, couldn't speak, couldn't hear, just wandering through the rubble looking for something. Her home, probably. Her family. Gone. All gone. I saw children, so many children, dead in the streets, in the buildings, collateral damage, acceptable losses, statistics in a report. But they were kids, 5 years old, 10 years old, dead because they were born in the wrong place at the wrong time. The fighting became mechanical, automatic, wake up, Grab your weapon, kill, survive, sleep, repeat, no thought, no feeling, just function, just exist. Became an animal, a killing machine, had to. The alternative was going crazy or dying. Washington kept us together, kept us focused, kept us alive. He was promoted to sergeant, more responsibility, more men under his command, more deaths to carry. One night I found him sitting alone, staring at a wall, not moving, just staring. "Sarge?" I sat next to him. "You okay?" He didn't answer for a long time then. "I've killed 47 men. That I know of. Counted them. Confirmed kills. 47. How do you live with that?" "They were enemy soldiers. It's war." "They were men. Husbands, fathers, sons. I killed 47 men and I don't feel anything. That's what scares me. I should feel something. Guilt, remorse, something. But I'm empty." I understood. I felt the same. Had killed so many I'd stopped counting, stopped thinking of them as human, just targets, just threats, just things to destroy. "We do what we have to," I said. "We survive. That's all we can do." "Is it? Is survival enough when you've lost your humanity?" I didn't have an answer. Still don't. Week 3. We retook the Citadel, the ancient fortress. The NVA had turned it into a fortress within a fortress. We assaulted it, lost half the men who went in, but we took it, pulled down their flag, raised ours. Victory, they called it. It didn't feel like victory. Felt like mutual destruction. They'd lost thousands. We'd lost hundreds. The city was rubble. The civilians dead or displaced. What had we won? What had any of it accomplished? By the time the battle ended in late February, Hugh was destroyed. The NVA was defeated. Tactically, but strategically, they'd proven they could strike anywhere, that we weren't safe, that the war wasn't being won, that everything we'd been told was propaganda. The Tet Offensive was a military defeat for them, but a psychological victory, because it showed the American people the truth. We were in a war we couldn't win, fighting an enemy we couldn't defeat, losing men for objectives that didn't matter. I survived Hugh, 26 days of hell, but I didn't come out whole. None of us did. We came out hollow, empty, broken, having seen and done things no human should see or do. Jenkins was dead. Rodriguez was wounded. Miller was maimed. Washington was promoted and traumatized. And me? I was still breathing, still walking, still functioning. But the Marcus Webb who'd arrived in Vietnam was gone. Died in the streets of Hugh, in the buildings we'd cleared, in the bodies we'd stacked, in the humanity we'd lost. What came out was something else, something harder, something colder, something that would never be warm again. After the battle ended, they pulled us back. Rest and refit, they called it. But there was no rest. Not really. The fighting continued, just moved to different locations, different villages, different jungles. The war never stopped, never paused, never gave you time to process what you'd been through. My platoon was down to skeleton strength. We got replacements, new guys, fresh from the world, wide-eyed, scared, asking questions about Hugh, wanting to hear the stories, wanting to know what it was like. I didn't tell them, couldn't. How do you explain 26 days of urban combat to someone who's never been in a firefight? How do you make them understand the smell, the noise, the casual brutality of it all? You can't, so you don't try. Washington trained them, taught them the basics, how to survive, how to move, how to fight. But you could see it in his eyes. He was just going through the motions, teaching them skills they'd probably never get to use because most of them would be dead or wounded within weeks. March, April, May. The months blurred. More patrols, more ambushes, more casualties. We were in the bush constantly, humping through jungle, setting up night positions, getting mortared, getting sniped, losing men to booby traps and disease and accidents. The replacements died fast, sometimes on their first patrol. They didn't know the signs, didn't trust their instincts, didn't understand that in Vietnam, hesitation killed you. One kid stepped on a mine his third day in country. Bouncing Betty blew his legs off. He bled out before the medevac arrived, 19 years old, from Kansas, never even learned his name. Another walked into a punji pit, sharpened bamboo stakes covered in feces, punctured his leg in 6 places. Infection set in within hours. Medevac took him. Heard later he lost the leg. Lucky, relatively speaking. Washington got hit in April. We were on patrol, walking point rotation. He was in the middle of the column when the ambush came. A K fire from 3 sides, classic L-shaped. We hit the dirt, returned fire, tried to maneuver, but they had us pinned. Washington was directing fire, calling in artillery, doing his job. Then an RPG hit near him. Shrapnel tore through his side, ripped him open. I crawled to him, tried to patch the wounds, but there were too many, too much damage. "Get the men out," he said, blood coming from his mouth. "Get them out, Marcus." "You're coming with us." "No, I'm not. You know it. I know it. Just get them out." He died there, in the jungle, on some nameless trail in some nameless village. The best NCO I ever knew. The man who'd kept me alive through Hugh. Gone. Dead at 25. Survived Hugh just to die on a routine patrol 2 months later. They made me squad leader after that. Promoted me to sergeant. I didn't want it. Didn't want the responsibility. Didn't want to be the one making decisions that got men killed. But you don't refuse. You take the stripes. You do the job. You lead men into danger and watch them die and keep going because that's what sergeants do. I became Washington, hard, cold, efficient, kept the men alive as best I could, taught them the tricks, the signs, the instincts, but I couldn't save them all. No one could. Vietnam killed randomly, indiscriminately. The good ones, the bad ones, the smart ones, the careful ones, didn't matter. The war took whoever it wanted. By June, I'd been in country for a year. Should have been rotated home. But they extended me. Needed experienced NCOS. Needed people who knew the bush, knew the enemy, could train the new guys. So I stayed, volunteered, technically. But what choice did I have? Leave and let someone less experienced take my place? Let them get the squad killed? So I stayed, kept fighting, kept surviving, kept counting down days that never seemed to end. The war changed after Tet. The American public turned, saw the truth, saw that we weren't winning, that the generals had been lying, that the light at the end of the tunnel was a myth. Support dropped, protests increased, politicians started talking about withdrawal, but we were still there, still fighting, still dying. For what? For a government in Saigon that was corrupt and incompetent? For a country that didn't want us? For a war that was already lost? Morale collapsed. Guys stopped caring, stopped trying. Some turned to drugs. Heroin was everywhere. Cheap, easy to get. Guys would shoot up before patrols, during patrols. Anything to make the fear go away, to make the reality bearable. Others just broke. Combat fatigue, shell shock, 1,000-yard stare. They'd stop functioning, stop responding, just sit and stare at nothing. We'd medevac them out, send them to the rear, 2 hospitals, to psychiatric wards. They were the lucky ones, maybe. At least their war was over. Some turned violent, not at the enemy, at each other, at officers. Fragging, they called it. Rolling grenades into officers' quarters. Shooting unpopular lieutenants in the back during firefights. Making it look like enemy action. It happened. more than anyone wants to admit. I saw it once, a lieutenant who kept volunteering our platoon for dangerous missions, trying to make a name for himself, trying to get a medal, at our expense. One night on patrol, someone shot him. Single round, through the head. We reported it as enemy sniper fire. Investigation went nowhere. Everyone knew. No one talked. That's what Vietnam did to us. Turned us into murderers, not just of the enemy, of each other, of civilians caught in crossfire, of anyone who threatened our survival. We became animals, feral, dangerous, fighting not for country or cause, but for survival, just to make it through another day. July, August, September. I'd stopped counting days, stopped thinking about home, stopped believing I'd ever leave. Vietnam had become my reality, the only reality. The world was a dream, a memory, something that happened to someone else. I'd killed so many people I'd lost count. NVA, VC, civilians who might have been VC, might have been innocent. In Vietnam, you couldn't tell. Everyone was a potential threat. Everyone was a potential enemy. So you killed first, asked questions never. I'd become the thing I'd feared, the thing I'd promised myself I wouldn't become. A monster, a killer without conscience, without remorse, without humanity. Washington had asked how you live with killing 47 men. I'd passed that number months ago, stopped counting at 60. How many more since? 80, 100, who knows? Who cares? They were just numbers, just bodies, just obstacles removed. Nothing more. That's what I'd become. That's what Vietnam made me, and I couldn't see a way back. October 15th, 1968. My breaking point. 14 months in country. Over 200 patrols, countless firefights, more dead friends than living ones. I thought I'd seen everything. Thought I was numb to it all. Thought nothing could break me. I was wrong. We were ordered to sweep a village. Intelligence said it was a VC staging area. Said they were using it to stockpile weapons, store ammunition, plan attacks. Standard mission. Go in. Search, destroy any enemy supplies. Capture or kill any VC. We entered the village at dawn. 50 Marines, 2 platoons, mine, and another. The villagers were awake, going about their morning routines, cooking, tending animals, normal life. They looked at us with the same expression they always did. Fear, resentment, resignation. We started searching, house by house, hut by hut, looking for weapons, for tunnels, for anything suspicious. Found nothing, just rice, tools, personal belongings, poor people trying to survive. The other platoon leader wasn't satisfied. Lieutenant Harris, new guy, 3 weeks in country, eager, aggressive, wanted to prove himself, said the weapons had to be there, said the villagers were hiding them, said we needed to be more thorough. He started interrogating villagers, rough, pushing them, screaming in their faces. They didn't speak English, didn't understand, just looked terrified. He got angrier, started hitting them, old men, women, trying to make them talk, make them confess. I pulled him aside. Sir, they don't know anything. This is just a farming village. They're all VC, he said. His eyes were wild, paranoid. Or VC sympathizers. They're hiding weapons. I know it. Sir, we've searched. There's nothing here. Then we're not looking hard enough. He ordered his men to tear the place apart. They started destroying homes, ripping up floors, breaking walls, looking for hidden caches. The villagers were screaming, crying, begging them to stop. It was chaos. Then one of Harris's men found something, a rifle, old French bolt action, hidden under a floorboard. Could have been for hunting, could have been for protection, but Harris saw it as proof. See? VC. They're all VC. He ordered the village detained, everyone, women, children, old people. Herded them into the center square, zip-tied their hands, made them kneel. Started interrogating them again. Harsher, crueler. An old man tried to stand, tried to speak. Harris hit him with his rifle butt, knocked him down. The man's wife started crying, trying to help him. Harris kicked her. She fell. Didn't get up. Something in me snapped. That's enough. I stepped forward. Sir, this is wrong. These are civilians. These are enemy combatants. They're farmers. There's one rifle. That doesn't make them VC. I'm in command here, Sergeant. You'll follow my orders. But I wouldn't. I'd seen enough, done enough, killed enough. I wasn't going to stand by and watch this. Watch us become the monsters we were supposed to be fighting. No, sir, I won't. The tension was instant, electric. My men were watching. His men were watching. Everyone waiting to see what happened next. A sergeant refusing an officer's direct order. Mutiny. Court-martial offense. Maybe execution. Harris's hand went to his sidearm. You're refusing a direct order? I'm refusing to participate in a war crime. War crime. The words hung in the air because that's what this was, what we were about to do. Round up civilians, torture them, maybe kill them, because one rifle, because paranoia, because a lieutenant wanted to prove he was tough. My men stood with me, moved to my side, weapons ready, not pointed at Harris, but ready. Harris's men didn't move, didn't know what to do. Following orders meant fighting other Marines. Standoff, Mexican standoff. Americans pointing guns at Americans in a Vietnamese village while terrified civilians knelt in the dirt wondering if they were about to die. A captain arrived, heard the commotion on the radio, came to see what was happening, assessed the situation, read it perfectly. Lieutenant Harris, he said calmly, release the civilians. We're moving out. But, sir, now, Lieutenant, that's an order. Harris hesitated, looked at me, at my men, at his men, at the captain, finally nodded. Yes, sir. They released the villagers, cut their zip ties. The people scattered, ran to their homes. We left the village. Mission failure, it would be recorded. No enemy contact, no weapons cache. Just another wasted day in a wasted war. The captain pulled me aside afterward. That was a bold move, Sergeant. Had to be done, sir. I agree. But you made an enemy. Harris won't forget this. Watch your back. He was right. Harris tried to bring me up on charges, insubordination, refusing orders, conduct unbecoming. But the captain buried it, said it was a misunderstanding, said tensions were high, said no action was warranted, but the damage was done. To me, to my faith in the mission, to my ability to keep functioning. Because if we were rounding up civilians and calling them enemy combatants, what were we? What were we fighting for? What had all the death accomplished? I couldn't answer those questions. Couldn't justify it anymore. Couldn't pretend we were the good guys. We were just guys, doing terrible things, for terrible reasons, in a terrible war. I requested transfer, got it, sent to Da Nang, rear area, training new arrivals, safer, quieter, away from the fighting. Some saw it as punishment. I saw it as salvation, because one more patrol, one more firefight, one more dead friend, and I would have eaten my rifle. November 1968. My orders came through. DEROS, date of expected return from overseas. I was going home. 14 months in Vietnam, 14 months in hell. It was over. I should have been happy, relieved, grateful. I felt nothing, just empty, hollow. A shell walking around pretending to be human. The flight home was surreal. One day in Vietnam, next day in California. No transition, no decompression, just boom. You're back in the world. You're home. Pretend the last 14 months didn't happen. But they did happen. And they'd changed me, broken me, turned me into something I didn't recognize, something I wasn't sure could ever be human again. I'd survived Vietnam, but I'd lost myself there. Left Marcus Webb in the streets of Hue, in the jungles, in the villages, in the countless moments of violence and death and horror. What came home was just a body, a breathing corpse, a ghost pretending to be alive. And I had no idea how to become real again. I came home in December 1968. No parade, no welcome home, no bands or flags or grateful crowds. Just landed at Travis Air Force Base. Changed out of my uniform in an airport bathroom, wore civilian clothes, tried to blend in, disappear. The cab driver asked where I'd been. I said overseas. He asked where. I said Vietnam. He went quiet. Didn't say another word the whole ride to my parents' house. That's how it was. Vietnam veterans was something to avoid, something shameful, something to pretend didn't exist. My mother cried when she saw me. My father shook my hand. My little sister stared like I was a stranger. I was. The Marcus who'd left in 1967 was dead. This was someone else, someone damaged, someone dangerous, someone who'd seen and done things they could never understand. They tried, asked questions. What was it like? Did I see combat? Was I okay? I gave them nothing. Said it was fine. Said I was fine. Said everything was fine. All lies. Everything was not fine. Would never be fine again. I couldn't sleep. Nightmares every night. Hugh, the village, Washington dying, Jenkins, Rodriguez, Miller. All of them. And the people I'd killed. The faces I'd seen. The bodies I'd stacked. They came for me every night. Every single night. I'd wake up screaming, covered in sweat, reaching for a rifle that wasn't there. My parents would come running, ask what was wrong. I couldn't explain. Couldn't tell them I was back in Vietnam, that I never really left. That part of me would always be there. Loud noises triggered me. Car backfires, fireworks, doors slamming. I'd hit the ground, take cover, scan for threats. People would stare, laugh sometimes. Look at the crazy veteran, the unstable one, the one who couldn't adjust. I couldn't be around crowds. Too many people, too much chaos, too many potential threats. I'd start hyperventilating, panicking, had to leave, go somewhere quiet, somewhere I could breathe, somewhere I could see all the exits and potential dangers. My parents tried to help, took me to doctors, the VA therapists. They had words for what I had: post-traumatic stress, combat fatigue, adjustment disorder, different names for broken. They gave me pills, told me to talk about it. Neither worked. How do you talk about killing? About watching friends die? About becoming something inhuman? About losing every shred of innocence and morality in a war that accomplished nothing? You can't. So you don't. You just carry it. Alone. In silence. I tried to work. Got a job at a factory. Lasted 2 weeks. Couldn't handle the authority. The orders, the structure. Too much like the military. Too many triggers. I'd have flashbacks. See Vietnam instead of Detroit. See enemies instead of co-workers. I quit before I hurt someone. Tried construction. Lasted a month. The noise, the sudden sounds, the chaos, all triggers, all sending me back. I couldn't focus, couldn't function. Lost that job, too. I started drinking. Started with beer, moved to whiskey, anything to numb the memories, to quiet the voices, to make the nightmares less vivid. It helped, sort of, until it didn't, until I was just a drunk veteran, another statistic, another casualty of a war no one wanted to talk about. My family gave up, not explicitly, but I could see it. The disappointment, the frustration, the fear. I was scary, unstable, dangerous. Better to keep distance, better to let me self-destruct quietly. I didn't blame them. I scared myself. I met other veterans, found them in bars, in VA hospitals, in places where broken men gathered. We didn't talk much, just sat, drank. Understood. They knew. We all knew. We'd been to the same hell, carried the same weight, lived the same nightmare. Some were worse off than me, missing limbs, burned, paralyzed, Physical wounds on top of psychological ones. Some were better, functioning, holding jobs, families, lives. But all of us were damaged. All of us were carrying Vietnam. All of us were trapped between worlds. The war ended in 1975. Saigon fell, the North won, everything we'd fought for, everyone who'd died. It was all for nothing. We'd lost. Not tactically, not militarily, but politically, morally, completely. I watched it on TV. Helicopters evacuating people from the embassy roof. Chaos, defeat, the end of a failed war. And I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just emptiness. Because I'd known, we'd all known, since Tet, since 1968, that we'd already lost. That everything after was just delaying the inevitable. Jenkins died for nothing. Washington died for nothing. All of them. All the Marines I'd served with, all the Vietnamese, all the civilians, millions dead, for nothing. A war we never should have fought. A war we couldn't win. A war that destroyed everyone it touched. I'm 78 years old now. It's been 56 years since Tet, since Hugh, since I became this thing I am. Half a lifetime later, and I'm still there. Still in those streets. Still clearing those buildings. Still watching friends die. Still killing. The nightmares never stopped. Less frequent now. Maybe once a week instead of every night. But they're still there. Still vivid. Still real. Still dragging me back to 1968. To the worst days of my life. To the moments I wish I could forget but never will. I never married. Never had kids. Couldn't. Couldn't get close to anyone. Couldn't trust. Couldn't love. Couldn't be vulnerable. The war took that from me. Took my ability to connect, to feel, to be human in any meaningful way. I've lived alone for 50 years. It's safer that way. No one to hurt, no one to scare, no one to disappoint. Just me and my ghosts, my memories, my guilt, my rage, my emptiness. People thank me for my service sometimes. See the Vietnam veteran hat. The patches, the indicators. They say thank you. Say I'm a hero. Say they appreciate my sacrifice. I don't respond. Can't. Because what do you say? You're welcome for killing? You're welcome for becoming a monster? You're welcome for sacrificing my humanity for a war we lost? There's no response, no gratitude that makes it better, no thank you that erases what I've seen, what I've done, what I've become. Tet changed everything, not just for the war, not just for America, but for every man who fought in it, who survived it, who came home carrying pieces of it that never leave, that never heal, that never stop cutting. We were sent to fight a war no one understood, for reasons that kept changing, against an enemy we couldn't defeat, in a place we didn't belong, and we paid for it, with our bodies, our minds, our souls, our futures. I survived Hugh, survived Vietnam, survived 56 years of carrying it, but I never came home. Not really. Part of me is still there, still 23 years old, still fighting, still watching Washington die, still becoming something less than human, still trapped in January 1968, the month everything changed, the month I learned that war isn't about victory or defeat, it's about survival. And survival isn't the same as living. It's just not dying, just breathing, just existing in a world that makes no sense anymore. They say Vietnam was the war we lost. They're right. But the real loss wasn't Saigon, wasn't territory or politics or pride. It was us, the men who fought it. We lost ourselves there, lost our innocence, our faith, our humanity, our futures. We came home as ghosts, walking wounded, broken men in a broken war, and most of us never recovered, never healed, never found our way back to being whole. I'm still that Marine, still in those streets, still fighting a war that ended decades ago, still trying to survive, still carrying weight that never gets lighter, still wondering what it was all for, still knowing the answer, nothing. We fought for nothing, died for nothing, sacrificed for nothing, and came home to nothing. No gratitude, no understanding, no peace. Just silence and judgment and the slow, grinding awareness that we'd been used, broken, discarded. Vietnam didn't end in 1975. It's still going, in my head, in my nightmares. In every moment, I can't connect, can't feel, can't be the person I was supposed to become. Tet Offensive, January 1968, the month the war was lost, the month I was lost, the month everything changed and nothing would ever be the same again. We never came home. We're still there, still fighting, still dying, still trapped in a war that destroyed us all, still waiting for a peace that will never come.